Hello everyone, I'm John Manalo and this is a tutorial in how to use Photoshop in a basic level. So my goal here is to present to you how to use Photoshop, to teach you how to use Photoshop and go around the basics, especially if you don't have any idea yet of how to use the program. Okay, let's start. Okay, so what you can see here, so this is the basic Photoshop window. Now for this version, so I'm currently using Photoshop CC. Okay? So this is the newest version, and I think Adobe is planning to use this mainly for the release of the program. Now, if you have older versions of the program, let's say Photoshop CS5, CS6, or even lower perhaps, well, it's okay. So most of the tools that I'll be sharing to you are just the basics. So the most likely they're also present in your older or previous versions of Photoshop. Okay, so first, to start with Photoshop, you need to create a new document. So it's very simple, same as your other programs such as Microsoft Word. So just go to File, New, and you will be given here a window which gives you the options on how to start your basic Photoshop document. So in Photoshop, just imagine you're creating a new image file. Okay. So for this activity, so we have your name. You can fill this out, or you can fill that out later as you save it. Now for width, of course, how wide your document will be, how high. Resolution. What is resolution? Resolution is simply how many pixels are there in a given area. For example, here pixels per inch. Okay, so the higher the number of the resolution, it means it is more clearer or more detailed, more pixels are contained there. So imagine when you're watching YouTube videos and compare a 1080p or 720p video to a 72p video, then obviously the first one would be of higher quality or higher or better image quality compared to the lower resolution. So it's the same here. So resolution is basically the same between images and videos. So CMYK, so I won't go into detail about these things, but RGB usually you use this when you're making images that are to be projected into a screen. And CMYK are going to use them for images that will be portrayed, that will be printed actually. It will be used for printing. If you're going to print an image, for example, let's say you have going to make a brochure or a photo that needs to be printed, then I recommend you use CMYK. Let's use CMYK. I'm going to use 16-bit. It will be the highest one. So for the units here for width, height, and resolution, you actually can choose. Inches is not the primary, it's not the only unit of measure that you can use. So here you have pixels, you have centimeters, millimeters, points, pitas, and columns. But for me, I prefer using inches since usually this is the mode that I usually work with, and when I print um, posters, especially when printing tarpaulin posters, usually they have their services measured at pixel square inch. That's why I use inches so that I can measure it right away. No need for any conversion whatsoever. But you can still use any of these units. Okay, sure. So let's start. So click OK here once you've set your settings. So let's have size of a bond paper. So bond paper, short bond paper would usually be um, 11 inches wide. So let's have it in the landscape position, 11 inches wide and a height of 8.5. 5 inches. Click OK, and the program should produce here a workspace, blank workspace, measuring 0 to um, 11 inches. And so I think the unit here is a bit different. So maybe we can just hit the rulers. Okay, let's starting just later, but anyway, that's the main idea. Okay, so now let's continue. So let's start with this one. See this one, the magnifying glass. Okay. So by the way, if you don't have any idea what the tool is, if you hover it over your mouse pointer over it for a while, yes, you will see what you call a tooltip. So a tooltip usually displays first the name. For example, in this one, this is what you call the zoom tool, and there's a letter Z. What is the letter Z? So the letter Z, it's the shortcut, the keyboard shortcut for that tool. So the same way with, let's say, Control V or paste. So the tools here, you have also shortcuts for them. So for example, for this one, for the magnifying glass or the zoom tool, you have Z. So please pay careful attention to the mouse pointer here. So this is its current um, look, but when I'm going to press Z, as you can see, the zoom tool um, became selected and the mouse pointer changed into the type or the version that is associated with that tool. For example, this one, the zoom tool became a magnifying glass as well. Okay, so for you can see, so for the zoom tool, what is the zoom tool for? So same with the, like what I said earlier, it looks like a magnifying glass. So same with other zooming things. Zoom tool is used for moving in and moving out. So if you're going to have a plus icon, it means it's zoomed in. Okay, so if I click it, so I move closer to my document. Now here on the top, this area here, this is what you call the options bar. So every time you choose a different tool, the options bar changes. See that? It changes for every tool that you pick. Okay? So as the name suggests, options bar gives you options on what to do with a particular tool. So for the zoom tool, you have this, the zoom in function. And now if you want to zoom out of your work, just click this button showing a magnifying glass with a minus sign inside, and like that. Okay. So a shortcut for you to switch from different versions of the tool is for you to hold the Alt key on your keyboard. I'm going to hold the Alt key, so pay careful attention to the mouse pointer. As you can see, it changes from the to the opposite version of the tool. For example, I click zoom in, I press Alt, I hold Alt, becomes zoom out. So I release Alt, goes back to zoom in again. Okay, so that's zoom, the zoom tool. Okay, next. So for the next one, let's have marquee. Okay, so the marquee, this one, is the marquee tool. Okay. The marquee tool is used for selecting areas in your Photoshop document. Okay. For example, let's have for example, I'm going to open here image. Let's use this. Okay, with pictures. Okay, so if you're going to use the marquee tool, you can use it to select a particular area in your image, like that, and then you can modify that image by, for example, moving it or deleting it. Let's say I press the delete key. Okay. So what would happen? It will just delete that area. Okay, so I can right click on it, modify it. Okay, example like that. Okay, so deletes it. So the marquee tool, you use it primarily for, again, selecting an area in your document. So when it comes to tools in Photoshop, they're trying to make the interface or the appearance of your workspace simpler and not too crowded. So for tools that are related to each other, if you noticed earlier when I hovered my mouse pointer over the marquee tool, it says rectangular marquee tool and the shortcut is M. So if you notice here on the bottom part, right, bottom right area, there's a small arrow. When you see that small arrow, it means there are other tools paired with that particular tool, which you call hidden tools. So how do you show the hidden tools? So you can simply click, then hold, which would show all the hidden tools associated with the main tool that you're clicking. So for the marquee tool, you have rectangular marquee, which is the one selected. You have elliptical marquee tool, which will create a circular marquee area, single row marquee tool, and single column marquee tool. So let's try using elliptical marquee tool. There. Once it creates a circular and elliptical area. You want to make it a circle, just hold shift and make it a perfect circle. So you just need to click, then drag. Okay. So now, how do I remove this one, the selection area? Let's say I made a mistake. I'm not supposed to select this area. I just want to select my face here. What can I do? So just press Control plus the key D. Control D. It's a dog. Okay? So the selection disappears without affecting any of your pixels. Okay, so that's the marquee tool. So what? Now let's go now to the next tool. So you have the zoom, you have the marquee, and you have for our next tool the move tool. So how do we use the move tool? So for you to see it, so let's use the rectangular marquee tool first. So let's say, or let's have the elliptical marquee tool for this one. So I'm going to select a face here. So by the way, the marquee, before you switch to another tool, you can place your mouse pointer in the middle and you can adjust the location of your marquee. For example, for this one, select it here. So let's try using the move tool. Okay, so the move tool becomes a four-headed arrow. So what is the move tool for? So simply put, like the name suggests, the move tool is used for moving parts or pixels in your image. Okay, by the way, for those who are not yet familiar with the word pixels, pixels are the small square blocks that make up a computer image. Okay? So if you click Move Tool over it here, going to do that, as you can see, it moves the selection. Put it here. Okay. Should be awkward. Okay? But that's a job. Okay? So now, another option, another use for the move aside from moving things is if you're going to click Show Transform Controls here, you're going to view these. How many are these? Eight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so you have 8 squares here, which are points which you can click and hold to adjust the size of your image. For example, click, I'm going to click here, hold, I can adjust it. Okay. So now, if you see, if your hand is a bit shaky, your image could lose its proportion. So what could you do? Same with making a circle. If you press shift while dragging, it will maintain the proportion of your selection. So if it's square, it will maintain the properties of a square, or if it's a rectangle, it will maintain its proportions. Okay? For example, I want to make it a bit smaller. It won't look awkward if I put it above here. Okay, there. So after moving it, you cannot do anything else um, unless you confirm your action with the move tool. So how can we do that? So just to confirm your action, just select a different tool. So for example, let's select the marquee again, and this window will appear. If you wish to apply what you have did, the change that you have done, so click apply. If you don't want to, don't apply. But if you want to continue, if you click cancel, okay, so it will just go back to the previous one. For example, let's say don't apply. Okay, so it will still come back here. Okay, but let's move it. Let's try it. There. So marking, let's apply it. Control D to remove the um, selection, and there you have it. So use the move tool there. So now you now know about three different tools. We have the zoom, the marquee, and the move tool. So again, for the hidden tool, just click and hold on a tool that has a small triangle on the bottom right, and it will show you the other options for that tool. Okay, now, so let's say I made a mistake. I don't want to do this. I don't want to put my face there. It's a total mistake. Same with other programs that usually allow you to edit, for example, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and other stuff, most of the Office stuff. So if you want to go back to a previous action, you can simply press Control C. So the last action that we had was to remove selection, to undo the unselect the selection, or remove a selection made by the Mark tool. So that's Control C. Now, unlike other programs which allow you to just spam Control Z to go back to an action that you have done before. So Control Z in Photoshop only takes you back once, one action only. If you press Control Z, the Control Z brings back the selection for our case, and if you press Control Z again, it goes back to that previous action. So it goes back to the previous action and goes back to your current action, which is to unselect the marquee tool. Okay? So now, having mistakes with just one action is impossible for working in Photoshop, because, of course, sometimes you want to try out something, or you make mistakes that you realize that, that should be corrected, and you're already a lot of actions um, forward. So you need to go back to more than one. So what do you do? So is there no hope for you anymore? So for Photoshop, actions, going back to actions consumes a lot of memory, and placing them into the Control Z function will make it a big load for your computer. So what Photoshop does, it stores it in what you call the history. So the history is here, this one, this panel over here, this button over here, which shows the the most recent actions that you have done. Okay? If you don't see your history, want to check where your history is, go to Window, then just click here, History. Okay? It will show you where your history is. For example, maybe it's already there, you just can't find the button. So just go to Window, click History, and it will activate your history panel. Okay? So these are all the options that you have done so far. In our case, so we had free transform where we adjust the size, we moved it 2 times. Okay. Then we had another move selection when we adjusted the area that we selected and made an elliptical marquee and so on. So let's say I want to go back to this part. So I want to erase all these functions or actions, with moving, selecting the image. So what can I do? So just go back to your chosen action, deselect, then click the trash icon, the trash can icon here. So do you want to delete that state, which is to deselect, from your current position to deselect? Even if you click yes, it goes back to that. That's your three tools in Photoshop. So we have again glue, marquee, and for the recent one, we have move. Okay, let's have this one. Let's have magic wand. So how do you use the magic wand? Magic wand is pretty simple. So the concept between for the magic wand is when you click on something, okay, you want to click on a pixel, the pixel that hits, okay, it selects that pixel and also pixels around it that are of the same color. For example, if I click it on this one, which as you can see is white, the magic wand selects all the white pixels, right? So this is a pretty handy tool. For example, you need to select areas that won't fit in the regular marquee setup, circle or an elliptical or an angular one like rectangle or square. So those things won't fit. For example, like in this one, we need to select, let's say, the area, the background of this picture, and you're going to go through a lot of curves here. You can just use magic wand, and it's very effective, especially if your background is of solid color, uh, close to just one color. Okay? Now the problem with the magic wand, like what I said, it works by selecting all a pixel and pixels around it are of similar color. It doesn't work that well, for example, in photographs that have varied backgrounds with varied color. So let's try this one. So as you can see, of course, as a person, as a human, you know that you want to select the whole background. But as you can see, I click here, and it tries, the Photoshop program selects the pixels which it thinks are of the same um, color type as the pixel that it selected. Okay, now on the options bar of the Magic Wand tool, you also have this one, Add Selection. So if you click once, it's going to select an area. Now, if you're going to select the version, it's going to have a plus sign. So the next selection that we're going to make with the magic wand, it will add it up or combine it with this selection. For example, let's say I want to select this one as well. So those two are now the ones selected. Let's say I just want to select also this one. Okay. So it combines all the selected areas and allows you to control them at the same time. Okay. So as you can see, I clicked here on something dark and it selected my hair. It's also dark, made of dark pixels. So uh, for images like these, which are made of background pixels with a lot of variations of color, Magic Wand won't work too well. But if you're going to use, for example, let's say a clip art or a picture, an image with just solid color, or let's say a white background, you just want to select the image, then you can use the magic wand. It's very effective for that. It can help you save a lot of time. But let's try something like that with a solid background. So let's open image. I put something here. Let's say I have this pig. So I'm going to select magic wand here. So I'm going to select the whole background. Okay. Now, for example, let's say you want to cut this and you want to transfer this pig, this image of a pig here. So what can you do? So use your magic wand. So you don't have to. Yes, we want to use the pig, but since this area is much more easier to manipulate, what we can do is we can select it instead. Okay? And after that, we don't want the background, of course, we want the pig to be selected. So what we can do, while it's being selected, go back to your marquee tool, click it, then right click on that area. Again, once you've selected this area with the magic wand, go to marquee, then right click on that area, and you have these options. And what we want to choose is this one, select inverse. So what basically does, it considers all the spaces, all the pixels inside your image, and it selects whatever the inverse of your current selection. For example, in this one, since we're selecting the background, if we click select inverse, it will select the pic. Okay, so imagine the time that you have, that you save using that. Okay? So for us to transfer it here, you want to transfer it here, let's press Control X for cut. Go back here and press Control V. There. So it's pretty small. But if we want to resize it, we can use the Move tool. Click here. Okay. And we want to maintain the proportion. We don't want to slim down like this. So we can do is hold Shift while resizing it. Don't worry if it appears a bit pixelized here. Okay. Because once we decided that we want this size, so once again, you can just click another tool so that the options will apply. But an easier one, if you're sure with what you did, then just press enter. There, you have your pig, very fat pig. Okay, so now let's say you want to edit the pig more. So you want to remove the tail. So I'm going to introduce you to another tool. So let's recap again. We have zoom, we have marquee, we have move, we have magic wand. So let's try to use another tool we're going to need for this, for an activity later on. We're going to have a test. Okay, relax. That's going to be easy. So this is the business sheet, and tell it it's an eraser. Okay, so the shortcut for eraser is E. So let's go back a bit. So again, the shortcut for zoom, Z, for marquee, M, for move, V, for magic wand, that's W, and for eraser, that's E. Okay, so it's very, if you want to use, if you're planning to use Photoshop often, then you need to learn those keyboard shortcuts. It saves you a lot of time. Instead of moving your mouse here, then you need to click something, you can just press that key on your keyboard, and it will save you short amounts of time, but when you combine them, it's going to ease in your work and your actions as well. So again, let's go to eraser, and as the name suggests, it erases pixels. So on the options bar for the eraser tool, you have a circle here and 4T. So what we can do is, let's click this. So this one, this adjusts the size of your eraser. Okay. Hardness is how good your eraser is in erasing. If you choose 100%, it'll be able to erase. Its potential to erase a pixel is set to 100%, which will vary just on the type of the eraser. But if we're going to use the basic one, like this one, and you use hardness of 100. Let's also adjust the size so you can see it better. Now for this one, if you set it to 100, you remove it like that, very clean. Okay, but let's say you don't want that, just smudges. Just the hardness is adjusted at 50%. As you can see, it's a bit blurred. Okay, it's not that hard. So same with the erasers that we have. If you're familiar with the usually two kinds of erasers. The one that's very hard, just one swipe it will remove the pencil lead, and the one which is soft that you need to rub it a couple of times before it completely removes an area. So for the eraser, you can adjust the hardness, the size, and also the kind of eraser, the shape of the eraser. Okay, so for these kinds, you can download in the internet for other shapes of erasers or brushes, well, then actually brushes. Okay, they're in use with conjunction with another tool. Okay. So there are lots of brushes available in the internet, but we're not going to go there. Okay, so that's eraser. That's erasers. And for the last one, before we proceed to our activity, so this is the text tool, and the keyboard shortcut for that is T. The default type of the text tool is the horizontal one, the usual way to the right. And if you click it, the mouse pointer will change to this. It's like a letter I with a small bar on the bottom area. So if you're going to click on it, okay, it's going to produce a text area where you can type. Okay. Let's have that. So again, let's try it. Text tool, click it here, say here. And you don't worry, you can move the areas I've shown earlier. You can move the text that you've selected. So even if it doesn't appear the way you want it to be yet, you can choose the move tool later on once you're done and move it and or resize it the way that you want. Let's go first to the options bar for the text tool. So for the first one, this is the font selection part of the options panel. So you can select whatever font that you want. So this one, it's a variation of the font. For example, the boldness or italics. Okay. But for this particular font for Futura, we don't have any other options for that one. But if we're going to use, let's say, let's have Arial, very common one. For Arial, so you can see other options for Arial are available like narrow, narrow italic, narrow bold, italic, and so on. And for this one, this is the font size. So you can adjust the font size here. You can type a number here, or you can adjust it later on using the move tool. Sharpness, just under formatting option, crisp, strong, uh, adjusting how your fonts look. So they don't really have that much an impact. So this one is the text alignment. So you have left align text, center, and right align. Pretty much the same with Microsoft Word. Now for this one, this is the color. Okay, set the text color. So unlike other basic programs, for example, like Microsoft Word, I keep on referring to Microsoft Word since it's more common to most of us than Photoshop. So the selection for the color is quite limited first. Although in the recent versions, they are allowing something similar to this. Now for the text tool, if you click that one, it allows you to select the area, the color of your text. For example, I want to use maroon. Okay? Not sure if this is exactly maroon. It looks like a shade of maroon. So click OK, and type, for example, uh, press it. Click the move tool, place it here. Okay, so that's text tool. So for the text also, if you currently select the text button, you can select the text. Then if you click on this one, the character panel, you can see it here again, window, then character if you don't see it at first. So this is the character panel, the one with the A with the bar beside. Click it, there are other options. For example, one of the options, if you're noticing, all the letters are in uh, uppercase, even though I didn't press caps lock because this function feature here is activated all caps. So if you want to click it, it goes to a normal case setting. You can also choose bold, okay, make it bolder, and italize it. You can make it into small caps, wherein the first letter is all of them are in uppercase, but the size varies. For the first letter is in a normal uppercase size, while the rest are also in uppercase, but their height is similar to smaller case letter. Let's try it. So there, uppercase, but the sizes are different. It's more like an effect. Okay? So there are other variations here. Just experiment in your time. Your time. Okay. Now, what if you need this particular color? And as you've seen earlier in our color picker, we don't really know which is maroon earlier. I just estimated that based on how it looked. Now there are times when you need to use a color that is similar, that is very similar to the ones that an image or similar to the ones that we had before. So what can you do? So one is you can copy this hexadecimal um, notation for that color, which is not too convenient because who wants to remember a series of gibberish um, numbers and letters, combination of numbers and letters, right? So what we can use for that, especially for example, you're making logos wherein the particular shade of color is very crucial to your work. So what you can do, and this is, I believe, the last tool that I'm going to teach you, is the color picker here, or the eyedropper tool. So eyedropper tool, the shortcut for that is I. So if you click it, it becomes an eyedropper. And what it does is it takes a sample of a color of the color of the pixel that you click. For example, I want to choose this particular shade of pink in the pig's ears. So if I'm going to click it, and you're going to look here, so this is now the set foreground color or the color selected. Okay, so let's say I want to copy this particular shade of maroon. So click, and the foreground color changes. Okay, so for example, I want to type I'm a pig in this particular shade of pink. So click it, changes to that one. Use the text tool. Let's say I want to type it here. Okay, I want to type hello instead. Okay. So it's still maroon. So we can edit that by this one and copying. So when you go to color picker, it automatically goes to an eyedropper tool. So then select this one, you can copy it here, or you can just go straight here. Okay. As you can see, it changes on the selection changes on what particular color you're currently clicking. Okay. Click OK. There you have it. So again, we have the zoom, we have the marquee, we have the move, magic wand, the eraser, the eyedropper, and the text tool. Okay, another note about selection tools like the marquee tool and the magic wand tool. Okay, in a particular selection, for example, let's select this area for the magic wand. Select here. Okay. So you can edit this area. For example, you can cut it, Control X, or you can delete it. You can press and delete on your keyboard, or you can go back a bit. Okay, or you can move it using the move tool. Okay. So remember that. Those are things that you can do when using selection tools, which will be very important for you to learn as well. And lastly, this is not a tool but a function, a basic um, function of or feature of Photoshop is its use of layers. This one here. Okay. So if you want to show layers, just go to Window again, layers, or press F7 if it's not there. Okay. So for layers, a very easy way to think about layers is to think of them as Pringles. I assume you know Pringles, so no product placement there whatsoever. So Pringles, they're like, imagine layers as pieces of Pringles that you stack on top of another. For example, in this layer, we have three different layers. So we have the layer 1, which if you look closely, it's the pig. Layer 2, the text I am a pig, and layer 3, the word hello. Okay? So same with Pringles. Okay? You can, the one on the top, it's the most visible for you. It overlaps over other layers. For example, hello. If you click hello here, you're going to select this area and you can modify it. So if you click the move tool and you place it over the pig, so as you can see, the pig is behind the hello layer. If you move it over the other text, which is I am a pig, okay, you can see, zoom in, you can see the entirety of the word hello and it covers the rest of I am a pig. So that's very crucial when you're working with Photoshop. So you need to be aware of the layers that you're going to produce. Okay? So what else about layers? So maybe you wanted to, let's say like earlier, I wanted to select the pig. So I want to use magic wand, but then doesn't work. Why? Hello gets selected instead. It's because you're selecting a different layer in your in your Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop window or layer panel. So what you can do is select this layer first, select the pig first, then use magic wand, and there you go. You're selecting the pig. Okay, so I think that's enough. So for this activity, let's go into practice. I'm going to give you a practice activity for you to apply everything that you've learned. So this is what you're going to do. So I have here some images. Okay, so you can select images um, like the one that we've used that I'm going to show to you. So first, get a picture of a pig. Next, get an image of this one, wings. And lastly, get an image of hat. Okay, so pig, wings, and hat. What do you need to do with those three? So I want you to create an image on a new document file like this one, and combine all of these three together using the tools that I've taught you. So the zoom, the marquee, the magic wand, the move, the text tool, the eyedropper, and the eraser. So you can choose any of those tools. So I want you to combine them. So make sure the pig has the wings attached to it and the hat over its head. You can also be sure to apply the concept of layers in your work. And again, to move pixels around, you can use Control X or cut. Okay, and lastly for that, I want you to type your name at the bottom of your image. Okay, so I'm going to do it real fast so you can see it. It's really possible, it's not impossible. You can stop watching now if you want to apply it without looking here. So when working with Photoshop, I think it's very important for one to have imagination of what you want to achieve. Because you'll be combining images and you're not really joining, you're not really putting a hat over the pig, but you're just making the illusion of that one. Okay, then I'm going to click here. Want to have so brown, orange. It's orange. It's not orange. I like it. Okay, there you go. So I wanted to make something similar to this one. Okay, so get the pig, put the wings on it, put the hat in it, and put the name. So once you're done here, just keep on practicing and you'll be able to master those tools. Okay. As for the other tools, you can look for more tutorials or you can just experiment with them. I highly recommend that you practice Photoshop as much as possible if you want to learn it faster because practice makes perfect in Photoshop. So the more you use it, it's like a tool. The more you use it, the more comfortable you are with it. It's easier for you to remember the tools instead of just having, let's say, weekly sessions of practicing. If you able to spend, let's say, around 5 or 10 minutes of using Photoshop at least daily or every other day, then you'll be able to learn more about it. Okay, so I think that's it. I think I've covered everything that I want to cover for this screencast. Mhm. Okay, so I hope you learned the basics. So actually, um, this year and the previous year as well, I am teaching elementary school students, and that's the way that I teach Photoshop to them. So if you're um, in doubt if whether you can learn Photoshop, so those kids, I was able to teach them Photoshop. They're able to learn it at a very young age. So I think you should be able to learn to use Photoshop as well. Right? So don't be scared. Don't doubt yourself. So have confidence. Just practice and practice and practice. The more mistakes that you have, the more opportunities you have to learn about the tool, which is in this case the Adobe Photoshop tool. Okay, so thank you for watching. And by the way, this tutorial is also actually a project of mine, a project for a subject that I'm taking in the University of the Philippines Open University. So we're supposed to make an open educational resource. Okay, so those are resources that are open for everyone or resources that are free and helps them learn something. For in this case, image editing or creation using Adobe Photoshop. Okay, so um, that's all. So thank you for watching and thank you for participating in this video. So I hope you learned Photoshop and I was able to help you to learn this very beautiful product by Adobe Corporation. So thank you once again, and all the images that I used here, um, I credit them to their creators. Okay, so just borrowed those images for you to see. So thank you very much and have a good day. God bless.